Okay, so just to back up, David Yontef went to high school in Connecticut with Dorit.
Dorit,
And
yes.
yeah, it's Dorit singular, isn't it?
Dorit.
Dorit.
Dorit. Dorit.
Dorit. I've never heard someone call her Dorit, but okay.
Okay, so we're gonna just disagree. Nobody knows how to say anyone's
Kathy Hilton also called her Dorit.
No, Dorit is what her name should be because it's phonetic. You would call her, it's D-O-R, it. Very simple. All right. I don't believe her exotic stories anyway. So here's the deal. Dorit went to school in Connecticut with David, and everybody was kind of taken aback when they saw high school pictures of Dorit, because she essentially had dark curly hair and a very, her face did not look like her at all. Like it completely looked like a different human. Okay. And so it was like, everybody wondered, like, what was the person behind that other face? Like, right. Not the blonde bombshell we've come to know for that, is like the $1 million man.
$6 million man. Steve,
yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. So she's like him. So I want to know, what was Dorit like in high school before she changed her entire face and body and everything? So what was she like?
And then we have to talk about the Dorit we see before us today, because I've got a lot to say about that.
Ooh.
Well, Dana, now that Dana mentions her face, and I've got stuff to say. Well, first of all, this, it was a different place and a different time. So let's just set the scene. It was Connecticut. And yes, Dorit is from Connecticut. And, I also want to say I have nothing against Dorit. I'm not here to grind any axes or, sling the mud. That's your shtick, Dana, as you say.
No, it isn't. I'm just honest.
Yeah, I'm just here to relay the facts. Look, it doesn't shock me that I'm watching Dorit on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I'm not shocked. We shared sisters, her and I. There were 4 sisters, and one of my very good friends and one of her very good friends were 2 of the sisters. So we were separated just by sisters. Her best friend at the time and one of my best friends at the time were sisters. So that's kind of really how I know her, through this family.
Were you in the same grade?
No, we were not. We were not in the same grade. We were separated by 2 grades.
Okay.
So were you younger or older?
We don't do math on this show. We don't do math.
Did you see her as a big sister or a little sister?
Listen, Dorit it was a different place at a different time. It wasn't the 2000s. We went to that type of high school, maybe Beverly Hills High, but for Connecticut.
Okay.
I'm setting the scene.
What was the name of the city? Don't be so obscure. What was it?
It was for 3 cities, the high school. It was for Orange, Bethany, and Woodbridge, Connecticut. They were 3 small suburbs, and they went to one high school. So you went to the elementary school in Woodbridge or Bethany or Orange, and then you converged and met all these new people in high school because the 3 towns were so small. So it's one high school.
And you went to high school with Dorit, and what car did she drive?
Okay, so let's just set the scene. When you see all the Louis Vuitton and the Gucci today, that was the thing back then as well. It was Ralph Lauren Polo, Gucci. So Dorit was always into this. Now, do I remember her as the fashionista that we see before us today? Not really. She had a lot of Louis Vuitton and all of that, but she wasn't this Miss Fashion. It wasn't like she was voted best dressed. As a matter of fact, the sister I was really good friends with was voted best dressed for our year. So she was always into the Gucci and the Louis, but everybody was it wasn't Dorit was so wealthy and the rest of us were being handed out hand-me-outs by Dorit when she strolled through the school. She was as wealthy as 98% of the rest of the school, which was wealthy.
Was she in the jocks, or was she in the goths, or was she, let's pretend this is Breakfast Club.
Okay.
Which
Okay.
group would she be at in detention?
Or the Mean
Who would
Girls cafeteria.
Is butter a carb? Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, like Mean Girls. Mean
Oh,
Girls.
she's in that clique.
So she would
was
have been
more-
in my.
She was in the plastics.
She was in the plastics. Right. She wasn't in the goths. She wasn't in the stoners. Not the jocks, but the jocks and the Mean Girls, that crosses over, right? The jocks and the populars.
Yeah,
That's kind
yeah.
of the same thing.
Yeah,
She was in
Molly
that.
Ringwald. For the Breakfast Club people listening, that would be the Molly Ringwald group. And for the Mean Girls, it would be the Plastics. Okay, go
If
ahead.
you're an older woman like Dana, you could refer to the Molly Ringwalds and the Ali Sheedys and the Breakfast Clubs. And if you're a younger woman like Casey and I, will stick with the Mean Girls reference.
What was
Or
who's,
902,
wait,
whatever.
I want to just remember whose shtick was being an asshole again. Was that my shtick or yours? I forget. Okay, go ahead.
No, but so that was, so she was in that group. And what else can I tell
Did
you?
she date an athlete? A
Dated,
football player?
She dated a few. Now, was she like the worst in school? No, and she wasn't the best, because our school was also, you know how it is. It's like going to like because like Greenwich.
I went
it's
to
like,
Greenwich High.
Right.
So, I mean,
it's
yeah.
So it's the same thing. So it's not like being beautiful and rich and popular wasn't the goal. You had to be beautiful, rich, popular, and like in the top.
But
5.
she wasn't beautiful, David. So explain that to me. How did she make it in the plastics when she wasn't beautiful? No offense. Like she just wasn't. Like I'll post the picture. She was okay. Like,
But it was a different standard back then. You know what I mean? Like it was just a different, it was a different like year. She wasn't she was in, but she was in good shape. She was like thin, had the right clothes. It was different. Your styles, Dana, back when you were watching Breakfast Club in the theater.
I have just as many feelings as you do, and it hurts just as much when somebody steps all over them.
I'm sure we're a little different than what is socially acceptable today, right?
No, but I'm just Greenwich High. It was like, what's hot's hot. You know what I'm saying? I don't like, she does not come off from her high school photographs as being like a plastic. She doesn't. She comes off as being like, like maybe somebody who was wealthy and like had academics. I don't know, but she did not come off as like fashionable in fact, let me pull up this picture. I have it.
But let me just also say she wasn't like the ultimate like of the Mean Girls. Do you know what I'm saying? Like she wasn't that like top,
Right.
5, like the real inner circle.
Right. She would have been like Gretchen Wiener's other friend.
Yeah. And so like she kind of floated between a lot of the circles, like there was the real hardcore 3 or 5 or 7 plastics that will cut a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't that.